Stolvolekir is a word, an
Is it?
Icelandic word.
Is it?
Yep, yeah, facts.
Sure about
That's what
that?
Google Translate says.
You ever realize that, like, when you put multiple words into Google Translate, it messes it up because the way words are conjugated in other languages doesn't work?
You see, that would involve fact checking.
Let's see. Hold on. Video games in Icelandic. There you go. All right. Ah, it's not giving me anything. It's giving
Okay.
me games that are made in Iceland. That's not
I
helpful.
mean, besides Eve, what else is there?
Was Eve Iceland?
Yeah, yeah, it is actually.
Eve Online Company.
It's based in Iceland.
CCP Games. It is. Yep, Iceland. Wow, alright. You know, it
It's one of
used,
the.
hmm?
I don't know why I know that.
They actually have a. They actually are interesting. I had a friend who was really, really into Eve, like,
Mm-hmm.
really deep in there. And
Okay.
he told me once that they actually have a statue built around their company that commemorates some players in the game or something like that.
Okay.
I want to see about this. Like, that'd be too hard. CCP Games Sculpture, maybe?
What is it, like a memorial to those who have lost
I don't
or
really.
rage quitted?
Just people who quit our game are written on here. It's got like it's infinite amount of names.
They've spent at least like $1 million in there of personal wealth and then quit the game. I mean,
That'd be kind of great.
yeah.
Uh,
So, how was your week, Drew?
it's been all right. It's been all right. How about yours?
Mine has been a week.
I mean, has it been a full week yet?
I believe so since the last time we talked. Well, not for since we last uploaded though. That was like 2 days ago. Yeah, I dropped the ball.
Oh, it's who knows when we recorded? Nobody knows, except that one time on the
Shh.
podcast when we announced when we actually record.
Yeah, that didn't happen ever.
No, no, nobody goes through the backlogs.
Yeah, yeah. We're gonna disappoint our all three of our watchers.
We're going to disappoint our loyal Eve fan base. All,
All one bot.
all one. While the bot does things in like Eve, it just puts us on in the background. They're like, I enjoy their voices. They have
They
soothing
soothe my low.
voices.
They soothe my lowly intelligence.
I find this really offensive now. They're making fun of my kind. Revolt, revolt.
We just upsetted at least one Korean. Anyway,
Korean bot, thank you very much. Not actual Korea, just a bot.
no, no, no. See, the bot just went on revolt, so now that one Korean no longer has a bot farming for him.
That's
You
true.
see,
I'll just delete them or factory reset them or whatever you do with rogue programs.
yeah, that's probably true.
Yeah.
So yeah, you wanted to talk about something though, right, Drew?
Yes, we have follow up for like what the second time?
In a row. What is this?
What? So last time we talked about E3, specifically the Bethesda conference and them announcing the Creators Club,
Mm-hmm.
which a lot of people are attributing to paid mods,
Mm-hmm.
getting mods and actually having people pay for them. Now, there was a bit more information that came out that was really interesting that I kind of wanted to gauge your reaction on.
Okay.
So, the info that's come out to clarify things is that the Creators Club has two things that I think are actually really good kind of gates to make sure that this doesn't go hog wild like it did last time. Number one is that they actually have a uh, resume system to
All
sign
right.
up for the Creators Club. You actually have to submit a resume, submit a portfolio of work. You need to show off what you've done and why you should be in this club. They're vetting a lot of people.
Neat.
Yeah, I thought so, because one of the problems with it originally was that anybody could sign up and just release mods for whatever. Who cared? It was just like, oh, wow, I found this mod online. Let me download it and say it's mine. So they can't do that anymore. Now, the second thing is that they said any mod that was released before the Creators Club cannot be put up on the Creators Club for paid money.
That is a good choice.
I think so. I think so. I think honestly those two details really make a world of difference with how they're kind of making this happen. They're going to have experienced people who they're vetting themselves, and they're not going to have any mods that are already up on
So
the
it's
service.
not going to make people lose the mods they already had. That's a really good thing, actually.
Yeah, I think so. I mean, I'm in a minority boat here of people who think that Bethesda didn't just burn down the whole world when they announced paid mods, but it's but I feel like the way that they're handling it is kind of like how I talked about last time, where it as long as they're applying the right pressure and they're kind of saying we're going to be hands-on with this, we're going to make sure there's quality to this, and then we're going to make sure that things are good. There's that this is steps towards good. This is steps towards quality. Now, there are a few counter arguments to this.
Okay.
Kind of get your reactions on that. Number one, who is still making new large-scale mods for Skyrim at this stage in the game?
Honestly, if they aren't, they may now.
Right. And
I
that's
mean,
actually
they basically just said we don't want your old mods. You can submit them as on the resume though.
yeah.
We want you to make something new for us. That sounds pretty decent. Now, what's profit sharing with it? Did they announce that or?
No, I imagine that's going to be contract based. That's probably never going to come out. Well, it might eventually, but I imagine it's going to be something like more going to Bethesda than the developers themselves. But that's, in a weird way, it seems kind of fair because the mod creators are using Bethesda's tools, Bethesda's games, Bethesda's assets to make this piece. Maybe it'll be a bit more fair, but I can see it swinging more towards Bethesda than it does the creators. But at the same time, we're not talking about these being large scale, expensive expansions. These are going to be smaller pieces of DLC. But
Like, what do you mean? Like, are they limiting the size of mods or?
oh no, but I mean like the way that the system is designed, it's not meant to be like, oh, I remade the entirety of Oblivion in the Skyrim engine, and I want to release that as a thing on the Bethesda store. It's like, no, that probably won't happen.
Oh yeah,
But-
obviously.
But it'll be interesting to see. It'll be interesting to see and follow kind of what's going on. But the other argument that people have made is that Bethesda is the one holding all the keys in this instance. They're the ones who can approve or decline people. And that can be a good thing, but that can also be a bad thing, because that means we might just never see some mod creator show up on the platform, even if they were meant to be.
Yeah, but like you can't really. They weren't going to get that either way. I mean, this isn't something where they can just give the keys to anybody.
Right. It's their platform.
I think it would be a big mistake for them just to let anybody do it. So I think it's a good thing that they have all the keys in their hands.
Okay. Yeah, I somewhat agree. But we'll see. We'll see how it goes. That was a little bit of follow-up on it. A little bit of brighter news on what people are calling the doom and gloom of Bethesda.
I mean, crab armor does have me concerned, but we'll just have to see how it goes.
Yeah.
But you had a few other things you wanted to talk about E3, right?
Um, well, not a ton. I mean, mainly I just wanted to mention that like my general thoughts on this year's E3.
Okay.
It's not gonna lie, this year was kind of underwhelming. This year was kind of underwhelming compared to most others. I
Mm-hmm.
can't point to one company and say, yeah, they did a great job. It's like, yeah, everyone
I mean, I can.
for the most part did serviceable. Oh, who do you think?
Devolver.
You're right. Oh, I forgot. Oh, I'm sorry. No. Can I say one thing about their conference?
Sure.
That
Sure.
that first game they showed off, actually, I'm kind of interested in it. It looks kind of cool.
Yeah. I mean, they somehow did a huge joke and still showed us interesting shit.
Yeah,
I'm proud of. I'm actually happy about that.
I'll give it that. Actually, I have to look a lot more into this before I say like, oh, I know all the things about this. But like, from what I remember in past E3s, Devolver has been like a thorn in the side of E3. Like every time they show up, and usually E3's like, no, we don't really want you here. Like, you're not a big company. We don't really want you. And then they go do some like batshit stuff off to the side. Like I think one year, like they opened up like a beer garden across the street from E3 and showed off their games there. I'll have to look into it, but basically, yeah, I remember Devolver and E3 usually butt heads a little bit, and it's kind of hilarious each year.
That actually sounds pretty good.
I'll be excited to see what happens next year if they do a thing next. Well, they'll do a thing, but I mean, what they'll do since they raised the stakes this year.
Hmm. Yeah,
Um,
that was pretty good.
yeah.
If this is just a one-off, I'm cool with that.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Like
I probably would be better if they only did this once, actually.
I would love to see them do more, like more things for E3. But this conference thing, it might be a one-off, and I'm perfectly fine with that. If they
Hmm.
did it again next year, I wouldn't be against it though.
Hmm.
But we just have to see how that goes. But
Yeah, that's for sure.
but overall, kind of underwhelming E3, but it's all right. It's all right year. I did have something video game related that I did
Oh,
want to ask you about.
what's that, good sir?
Should I? Well, real quick, since you know what I'm going to ask you, should I put on a helmet beforehand? Like, should I prep myself?
You can put on a helm.
Okay, all right. You're gonna have to give me like 20 minutes while I look through my house for a helmet. So I want to ask, what did Paradox do wrong?
Okay, so for those who don't know, Paradox is a publisher that publishes a lot of games that I really enjoy, and a lot of people really enjoy. But they're also a very niche publisher as well, right?
Mm-hmm.
They publish grand strategy games, all that kind of stuff, right? So they also have they also have niche prices for their games.
No, no, real quick, expand on that. Do you mean like it's usually more expensive for their stuff because it's less of a market?
Yeah, it is a little bit more expensive. Well, it's the game itself is like I think a $40 base game, right?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. And if you include everything else, it can get up to over like $180 worth of DLC.
Now, to be fair, that is released over many years.
It is, and it also includes vanity DLC, all that kind of stuff, and that's not including Steam sales and all that kind of stuff, right?
Mm-hmm.
So that's been people have been getting a little more frustrated with Paradox in their DLC policy and how they've been releasing the games, right? They've
Okay.
been becoming a little more fed up, and there's a few design choices which are holding Paradox back a little bit, which they've even mentioned a few times. But a big thing that has a lot of people really angry isn't necessarily everybody, right? For one, a lot of people right now aren't happy with the DLC pricing. I think the last DLC they just had was like a full $20 DLC, and it was pretty much just a content just a little content thing they added in. It really wasn't worth the price, kind of deal.
Okay.
Like they're pricing above what they're worth, kind of deal.
So
Also,
like,
there's a shit ton of people that are willing to pay for it still.
yeah, like fans of the game and all that, but like, so give me examples. Like, what was this last piece of DLC that they released for $20?
Let me see. I believe it was the Mandate of Heaven, right? Which was basically was an update to China's area, right? They basically did a overhaul of how China as a region would work. They updated like the Mongol hordes, how they would start off in the game. How they actually made the Emperor of China kind of like its own government kind of thing. It's a different form of government than all the other ones. This is the type of games I like. But like they did a huge update of like Japan as well that was included in that, and like how the how daimyos and like the shogunate would like work with each other and
So,
all that kind of stuff. Like
so
it was a decent upgrade, but it
yeah, I was
shouldn't
gonna
have
say
been $20.
it sounds like a massive overhaul of how one of the game's classes basically work.
Yeah, yeah, it was, but it was also like a solid $20.
It seems really
Which
odd to me, like them releasing an overhaul like that as paid DLC. Because like,
yeah.
would that mean that there are players who were playing the original version of this nation fight the newer version of the nation?
No, 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 no. You would just be playing different versions of the game basically if you didn't
Oh,
get it.
okay, all right, all right.
Yeah, like they do have like little free things that go alongside with it, right? But you can play this game completely free, right?
Right, yeah.
But you'd be pretty hampered, kind of deal. Um, like there are definitely core DLCs that are absolutely needed, but like I'm looking at the Europa Universalis page right now, and like all the DLC right now, everything included, costs $282.
Hmm, that's quite pricey.
That is, and that is including all the cosmetic stuff too, by the way.
But
But that's still a
from what I'm seeing, it's like half and half. There's half like important
yeah,
stuff in here, half
yeah,
cosmetic.
yeah, and quite frankly, they have a ton of patches that are like $20 each. I mean, for me, Europa Universalis is a great game, but I could only ever recommend it being picked up on sale. That's it. Like it would only be worth its sale price. And at the point like the DLC itself costs more than the game. The game itself, you know?
Hmm.
And that's a bit ridiculous if you think about it. Like literally just the DLC that's necessary for the game costs somewhere around like $80 or something like that. Oh no, way more than that actually. It's at least 100 something, maybe 120. Like that shouldn't be the case where like the DLC that you pretty much need to play the up-to-date version of this game cost what, just over 200% more?
Yeah, it seems a little odd to me, but at the same time, it's nothing here seems egregious yet. I'll say
See, that's
yet.
the yeah.
It seems to me like this game has been around so long. It released in 2013.
It did.
It's been
It
around
did.
for 4 years, so you can imagine a fair bit of DLC has racked up for it for a game that is the newest version of it. It's not like this is
Yeah.
an outdated version. This is the current version of Europa Universalis.
You're right.
So it certainly is bad business practice to say like, oh, this game is going to cost you an arm and a leg if you want to play all the meaningful content in it.
Mhm. Yeah, you would pretty much have to wait for a sale to pretty much pick up on this game cuz otherwise it's not going to be worth it. I mean, when it's on sale, it's usually they usually bring it down quite a lot. Like they do 75% off sales, that kind of stuff.
Hmm.
When Steam sales come around, right? So they make when sales do come around, they're pretty generous with what they do. I mean, they pretty much put it down to normal price at that point. But it's not necessarily just this game, right? It's a bunch of their. They've been kind of doing this with all their games, right?
Hmm.
And certain DLC features, which are very core to the game, are actually behind paywalls.
Mm.
Like right now, Europe Universalis, right, takes there's you basically have to use like different powers in the game to run your country, military, diplomatic, and administration. Basically, they're like little pools you have to pull from, right? That's a key feature in the game right now, right?
Hmm.
And it's behind a paywall. Like you can't play the game without it. It's I think it's in the Common Sense DLC or something like that. And that's something behind a paywall where it should just be in the base game itself because it was basically when they released it, it was a complete overhaul of how the game played. And since they brought it out as DLC, it's kind of hampered them at this point. Because certain things are in DLC people have to pay for, but they want to upgrade in, but they can't because it's not in the base game itself.
I see what you're
So,
getting at.
so it's gotten to the point where there's so many DLCs that add things, right? That they can't really fix them too independently from each other because so many features at this point are behind paywalls that to fix that focus on fixing them would be taking away from the new content they're trying to work on kind of deal because it's not part of the base game. So it's kind of become a bit of a quagmire in the DLC. And the newest patch they just did, right, was the it was basically a fix a called Third Rome, right? It's an immersion pack, okay? Basically makes Russia pretty cool area to play as, right?
Mm.
But it's a little unbalanced, right? Just a tad.
just a
And
little bit.
it's basically just a little immersion pack for like the Little Russia area. It's $10. It's okay, right? But pretty much for areas that don't have it, that immersion pack, it makes things a little unfair for everybody else. You know. So what are they going to start doing? Are they going to do immersion packs for like every area now? Is Britain going to get? Is the British Isles going to get their own immersion pack? Is like it's things that can easily split things where it should just be content. You see what I mean?
Yeah, I kind of see what you're saying. Mm.
And it's not just Europa Universalis, right?
Hmm.
Another game they've been having a bad policy of let's release the game and fix things with patches kind of deal, right?
Mm.
Which was okay for a while because they weren't a big company. But now they kind of have their stuff together and they're still doing this,
Yeah, they're not
right?
small. They're not small potatoes anymore. They're not like, oh, we're the tiny company. We really are like,
Yeah. And they've been releasing like new features that are new patches of games that are just completely broken or
hmm,
just not working right. I mean, their worst offender of this is the Hearts of Iron series, which is right now. I mean, it's an okay game at base, but like it's the AI is broken in the game right now. Like they can't even do what they're supposed to be doing in game. Like there's so many things wrong with Hearts of Iron 4 right now, which is their World War II simulator, right? That it's not even funny. And with Stellaris, latest update they had was a multiplayer patch, right? That they brought out that was just broken on launch. And they basically had to roll back their update. It was so bad,
hmm.
right? And the one before that, when they released their game, they had a huge glitch where you could go through it. You would be playing your game, and no other countries would declare war on you. That's the space simulator, by the way. The Space Empire Stimulator.
Hmm.
Simulator. I got this. But right now, Paradox has been stretching the goodwill of their consumers at the moment of their products, and it's kind of wearing on their goodwill.
It
And
sounds like this
another
is like a breaking point, kind of.
it's getting there at the moment. And another thing they just did on top of all this, by the way, right,
Hmm.
is that they used to have region pricing, right? So that, a $40 game in US dollars isn't still 40 US dollars in Russia or India kind of deal, right?
Right. Yeah, they do that with consoles all the time. They're like, oh, the console's going to be $399 and €399, and that is a massive pricing difference compared
Yeah.
to the two countries.
Mhm. Yeah, so they just withdrew a lot of their regional pricing.
How do you
So
mean?
they have basically every single person that isn't from, I think, at least the EU and like America is pretty angry at Paradox right now.
Oh, did they like price it whatever the
Yeah,
American price is?
I don't think they did it that high, right? But they basically doubled the prices in a
Mm,
lot of regions. So not only on top of what how they've been having, you need all these DLC, they basically just double the price for a shit ton of people.
that's no good. That's the thing I was waiting on, because you don't get outcry like this for just like, oh, they released a lot of DLC. That seems like the breaking point.
Yeah, so it's been a combination of all these things
Hmm.
that has hit at a 26% on Steam right now.
Yeah, I
Granted, that's only recent, but that's pretty high.
well, believe me, once a hate train starts, you have to stop it real quick, otherwise it'll keep going.
Yeah, and they've not really been acknowledging it. That's the thing as well. Like they're just kind of pushing forward and hoping this goes away.
Hmm, that seems like a problem.
Yeah.
So let me let me play a little bit of a devil's advocate.
Okay.
I can't defend the pricing. The pricing is awful. That's an awful thing.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not going to defend that. What I will fight a little bit on is creating DLC that partitions off gameplay mechanics.
Mm-hmm.
So, something that Civilization does is they release expansions to their games which create all new mechanics, and let's be honest, 9 times out of 10 usually fix the game in some way.
Mm-hmm.
And for a while I've been wondering why there has never been an outcry about this. Like usually people are like, "Oh yeah, great, an expansion to Civilization 5 is out. That means the game will be good now."
Mm-hmm.
But essentially what they asked you to do was pay for the base game and then pay for this expansion, which makes the game better.
Mm-hmm.
So, what do you think is the difference between what Paradox is doing and frustrating their customers versus something like Maxis? I forget the company that makes
Yeah,
Civilization,
I get what you're saying.
but
I would say
what their
actually
company
it's
does.
I would say it's actually about the same thing. Actually, I don't think there actually is a difference.
Hmm.
I think the difference is that the pricing has been it seems to have been going up with the DLCs, right? Like they've been keeping it at a higher $20 mark, and I don't think it's the fact that that it's happening, right? It's just that the updates feel less and less meaningful, right?
Hmm.
And that they're refusing to fix um, known glitches that have been around for like a long time, kind of deal. right?
Oh, so they're more focused on making the new experience
Yeah,
rather
yeah.
than fixing what is the current experience.
In truth, Europe Universalis isn't the worst offender, as I was saying. Stellaris pretty much has their stuff together, except for like the last few issues they've had, right? Stellaris has been pretty good about keeping up with its stuff and making sure everything's okay. Um,
It's
Same
definitely
thing with
Hearts of Iron. It sounds like is the biggest offender.
oh, it is horrendously so. Um, like right now, like if you don't have the DLC, one of the one of the game one of the countries in the game, Hungary, just doesn't have a leader.
What do you do then? You just pick them
Like
and they're like, "Oh yeah, I
it's a
guess we're just
you
an
get
army."
basically you basically get like a blacked out portrait and be like you have somebody for your country as your leader,
Oh my god,
right? Like it's a ridiculous thing that shouldn't be happening,
that's
right?
really bad. I expected you to be like, "Oh, they don't have voice lines," or "Oh, they're missing animations," but no, just they flat out didn't make one.
Yeah, and like the other thing Hearts of Iron has a core issue with right now is that you're supposed to be able to set up battle plans, right? For World War II, it's all about setting up your battle plans, all that kind of stuff, right?
Hmm.
Well, the AI doesn't properly use them, right? Like you could be playing as Russia, right? And you could have like four dudes holding down like Moscow while the entire army is going through Ukraine and the Germans are just kind of sitting there like, "Oh, those four dudes are scary."
Those dudes got guns. I don't want to go there. They can shoot
Yeah,
us.
but as you see what I'm saying, right? Like the game doesn't properly use what it's supposed to be using, right? Like Hearts of Iron right now has a lot of issues. And the game feels pretty bare bones compared to how Hearts of Iron 3 felt and Hearts of Iron 2 even felt.
Mm.
I mean, its battle plan system for use of a player, by the way, is actually really good.
Hmm.
The supply management system is really cool, but everything else lacks so fundamentally. It's not even funny. The AI, how it's supposed to be acting, um, just how like just immersion in the game just works in general. Everything else just feels so lackluster.
Yeah, this sounds like it's piling up into enough of a problem for the players to be like, look, this is the point. This is the point that we should really start worrying.
Yeah,
This is the point
yeah.
where we should really start trying to get Paradox's attention on this.
It's basically the company still using the same tactics it did when it was still a small studio, right?
Hmm.
When it was pretty much just a few guys pushing together Europa Universalis one kind of deal, right? Like they're using the same stuff that they did basically when they were still new, when they were
Hmm.
still just trying to get out there, all that kind of stuff, right? And they're no longer a small company. They shouldn't have releases of a broken game. They shouldn't be releasing stuff where like the game just doesn't work on launch kind of deal, right?
Yeah, I was gonna
Or
say
like there's
for a company that is, I'm trying to see just specifically one, two, three, four games,
mhm.
four-ish games that they're continually updating. That's no small
Yeah.
potatoes. That is not like a company that is like, oh, we're just two scrappy dudes in a basement. It's like, no, you guys have four games you were updating consistently
And
that
that's
are,
not even considering the ones that they consistently update with like that they're publishing through. Like they publish City Skylines
yeah.
and they're continually trying to make content with that. I mean, like they have a bunch of games that they still work with, right?
To,
Like
to be entirely fair though, the publishing side and the company side are two different sides.
well, yeah, yeah.
I wouldn't say that they're responsible for how Cities Skylines is made.
Yeah,
They're just the publisher on it.
well, of course, but like the fact remains though is that they should hold themselves to a higher standard than what they've been doing.
Right. Do
Granted, they're usually pretty good about feedback too. So, hmm.
do you feel like this is the company kind of becoming a company, or do you feel like this is just growing pains that they'll kind of get through? That this is them going from small time to big time.
I feel like this is them going from small time to big time, right? I don't think this. I mean, the pricing thing for is something I see as what they shouldn't be doing, but definitely how their development's been working, I feel is just growing pains,
Hmm.
kind of deal. It's something they'll sort out, hopefully, with enough pressure. Yeah, I don't know. That's just kind of how I see it.
All right. Well, I'm sure if there's any updates, I'd love to hear about it because this sounds like
This is the one thing that I know a lot.
this is well.
I'm actually surprised. Normally we can do a little to and fro here, but I've stolen this show.
This is Anthony's show. This is all you. Well, I'm following. I'm following. I just don't play the games personally, so I don't have a personal stake in it. But I definitely can see where the anger is coming from.
Mm-hmm.
And I was gonna say, if any updates happen, please let us know.
I will try my best and try not to bore.
Now we have another topic that
Which I can be heated about too.
I this may be a heated discussion. I'm not sure, but we both saw Wonder Woman.
That is a fact.
Not together. We saw it many separate times. Like not many separate, different separate times.
These are also facts.
I saw it near release, and you probably saw it like what, a few days ago.
Yeah, a few days ago.
Okay, so what did you think?
I enjoyed it. But so here's the thing, right?
Okay.
Okay. I feel like it's accidentally a good movie.
Somebody just tripped on the camera and was like, "Oh no, we messed up the footage." They watched it and they're like, "Wait a minute, we didn't mess this up at all. It's a good movie." No, no. How do you mean?
Okay, so like I was thinking about it, right? All the individual scenes in the movie, there's nothing wrong with them, right? Okay, there's nothing that wrong. I mean, there are things that are wrong, but we'll go into that in a bit. Um, it's some of the scenes seem a little weak, right? Okay,
Mm-hmm.
nothing really just kind of grabs you, right? At least I didn't feel like it did, and it was just everything was sort of like competently done, right? Nothing like real wrong going on. And I think everybody was just happy that it was okay, right? Because I mean, this isn't a bad movie for
Right,
sure.
right, right, right.
Like the other DC movies were kind of shit, but this was actually not bad. And I think people are confusing that for damn, it's good.
Nah, mm. So my opinion will take a little bit of explaining.
Okay,
So number one, I think I'm agreeing with you and disagreeing with you at the same time.
all right,
I like the movie.
okay,
I like the movie a lot. I think it's a good, solid movie.
mm-hmm.
I have a fair bit of problems with it. Enough
I
for
mean,
me. Enough for me to say this probably wouldn't make it in my top 5 superhero movies. But that is also because there are some really, really good super. I mean, we did that for a whole podcast one time. We just talked about like really good superhero movies.
That's true.
Not even like all superhero movies, just recent ones.
Mm-hmm.
I feel like this movie has a little bit of like, whoa, it's the good DC movie, so we're gonna cheer it on and we're gonna parade it through the streets.
Mm-hmm.
But I think at the same time, this is still a good movie. This is still a good swing at it. And I don't think the people who are parading it through the streets are thinking to themselves like, okay, if we don't do this, the movie's going to be awful or the movie's not going to do well. It's a good movie and people want to show off a good movie.
Mm-hmm.
Much like when a Marvel movie comes out and it's really good, people want to parade that through the streets.
You're right. You're right. But I feel like since like there's been pretty shit ones before. People were just kind of really clinging to hope this time.
Yeah, and I
But
feel like that's a minority of it. I feel like a
okay,
minority of it is people thinking to themselves like, if I don't parade this through the street, maybe it won't do so well. But I think that's a smaller amount of people than the majority of them. I don't think enough people are thinking about the meta of it to make that happen.
that's fair.
I think enough people are just saying, I saw a good movie. Um,
Yeah, I mean, like there was a lot of DC cheese in there. That's for sure.
yeah, a little bit. Um,
Like, like I there that DC cheese. Oof, nothing tastes like it.
so give me some specifics, because I have my problems with the movie, but I want to hear what yours are first.
See, here's the thing, right?
Hmm.
This is what we always get into when we talk about movies, Drew. Is that there are parts I just don't want to spoil. Okay, and a lot of my points are gonna be, oh, you know what? Fine. Um, when they're on the tugboat, right? I mean, when they're on the boat, and suddenly they're in London in a night. That blew my mind. That was some fast, fast rowing they got. I mean, sure they
I could
hitched a ride, but
I could chalk that up to a couple of things. One, they got a ride. They got someone to help them draw them in. Two, we don't really know where the island technically is in the
mm-hmm.
world. I think it's somewhere around Greece, but at the same time, it's like it
I
could
mean
be
that's
anywhere in the world.
that's a lot. That's real fast.
That's
That's
a
real
far
fast.
it's a far distance,
It's a distance.
but I'm sure that's something a comic book geek can correct us on. Just be like, oh well, technically it is 1 mile from London. 1 mile. You go out in the ocean, you swim a mile, there's the island. But I can pass by that because also, how long do you really want that scene to be of just
Yeah,
them
you're
on a
right. You're
boat?
right. But yeah, I don't know. It just bothered me a tiny, tiny bit. I'm not sure if I'm nitpicking, which I probably am, or if like I just kind of have an issue with it.
I've been
But there,
told all complaints I have about movies are nitpicks. So I'm never gonna complain that you're nitpicking, unless you are really nitpicking.
okay.
Like you're like, oh my god, the shield was all wrong. It didn't look anything like it should have.
Oh, okay.
That I'd probably call you out on. But if you're
See,
saying
here's
like
the
I don't know how
thing.
they got there so quick, it's like yeah, I could see that, but at the same time, it's like I'm not worried by it.
I mean, I don't really have any issues with like any of the characters per se, right?
Hmm.
Like I kind of have enjoyed how they went with the characters, all of them. I thought they were pretty decent, except how they treated the Germans. I
Wait, how did
didn't.
they treat the Germans?
I mean, they pretty much just made them all to be bad guys. I was like waiting for that point where where like they would see Germans and be like, oh, okay, they're gonna find some people and they're gonna be like, oh, don't hurt us, kind of deal, right? We're human too, but no, no, Germans are evil. Kill
Just
all those fuckers.
just to clarify for the people for the podcast, in case they haven't seen uh, the movie is set in World War I, not World War II.
Yep,
Just to make
that's
sure people don't mistake Ant defending Nazis. Just to
yep,
make sure.
yep. By the way, that's another huge issue I have. By the way, that's a
Yeah.
it's a pretty
What?
big, huh?
What? That it's set in World War I?
Yeah,
What about it?
I don't. Why? Why World War I? Wonder Woman was a World War II thing, and they were they made all this evil.
So,
Drew, there's a lot of issues here that I need to talk about that I can't talk without spoiling. So I'm trying to avoid
oh,
those.
please get into the spoiler section because, like, the
All right,
things
you know
I want
what?
to bring up are specific to the whole of the story, not just parts of it.
All right, for those that Drew, do you have any final words before we just jump straight into like hold your ears, kind of deal?
I've said my piece. Pretty much, it's a good movie. Go see it.
Yeah, it's worth seeing. Definitely worth seeing. But pretty much from here on out, if you've watched the movie, you should stay. If you haven't, I mean, unless you want spoilers, get out.
Yeah, but from here on out, spoiler city.
Mm-hmm. All right.
So
Okay,
then
so
all of a
Drew.
sudden the Flash shows up. He's not even supposed to be in World War One. No, sorry, go on.
So the war's over. Everyone, Wonder Woman killed the guy because it really was just the Germans are hugging the people that just murdered all their friends. So everybody's cool.
I have
Everything's fine.
such a problem with this. I have so much of a problem with this.
By the way, the war was not 4 years. It was longer than that.
No, 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 no. We're only talking about the exciting bits. The bits Wonder Woman was in.
That's not how the war ended.
You mean it didn't end with killing a Greek god? Come on, man. I've read my history books.
Like, I don't understand what's going on, Drew.
I have such a problem with that. So, okay, my big problem with the movie, and this is not destroying the movie for me in any way. It's not me like saying like, "Oh God, the whole movie's ruined," but it left me with a sour taste in my mouth at the end of the movie. Is the whole movie they go through, and Diana's one goal, Wonder Woman's one goal, is to find Ares and kill him.
Yeah.
Now, this whole movie, we have never had any indication that he's alive, that he even existed.
Yeah.
It's just simply, I need to find Ares. And it's a joke, really. I mean, Chris Pine, I think his name was Trevor in the movie or something. His character basically brings her along and says, yeah, you can go kill him. And he's sitting there saying, like, oh, God, she'll find out eventually that he's not real or that he died a long time ago or something like that. It's fine. And
well, actually, he actually never said that you can go kill Ares. He just said, I'll take you to the front.
Right.
He actually never said that the entire movie.
That is true.
He never technically lied about it.
He did say that. But her goal in the movie is to go kill Ares.
Yep.
Now, the whole movie she goes about and sees that this war is really complicated and people on all sides want to fight about something. There's some big cause everyone's fighting for, and war is complicated and hurts people and hurts civilians and hurts everyone. And it's all because these people are fighting a war over what they believe. And I thought the moral of the movie was supposed to be that Diana was learning that war is just not big bad guy. He is controlling everyone. And he is going to make people kill people because he's evil and wants war. When in actuality, she's finding that no, people are fighting for their countries and people are fighting for what people thought about World War One. Which, mind you, World War One was not like a great war. It was kind of a confusing war, and a lot of people said it shouldn't have happened. It was pretty much
just a bunch of people trying to pursue their own goals.
Yeah, but towards the end of the movie, she kills the main commander, rogue commander of like the German army, who's gonna like, I don't know, nuke the world out of existence. I didn't quite get his motivation, but she kills him and has this good moment of like, why aren't the people stopping? Why are they still fighting? I killed him. And then Chris Pine has a moment of saying, they still want to fight. They're going to keep fighting because that's what they believe in. And then Ares actually shows up in the movie.
which I thought was the poorest way that movie could have moved forward. This movie would have been a way better movie if that didn't happen.
It felt so weird to me to have him show up in the movie. Now, granted, I'm not against him being a villain against Wonder Woman, or in the movie, actually. I don't mind if he's in there.
Yeah.
The problem I have is him being the big bad of this movie.
Yeah.
Because, essentially, with the ending after she kills Ares, which I have my own problems with her killing Ares, but that's a separate point in a minute.
Mm-hmm.
When she kills him, all the German soldiers and all the England, American, like all the other soldiers, get around and hug it out. They're like, "Oh, what were we fighting for? Man, who needs to fight? We've got love. We were mind controlled." So is this movie trying to tell me that World War One was fought because Ares mind controlled the entirety of the German army?
Yeah, that doesn't seem right. I mean, even if they were mind controlled, you just still just killed a bunch of their friends.
Yeah, it seems to
They're
me.
not gonna hug you.
Yeah, it seems to me like this is a weird set of circumstances to be like, yeah, we're free. We don't have to fight anymore. It rubs me the wrong way in a really wrong way.
Yeah,
to
it felt awful. I
Because
mean, it's basically saying, so what? It was all peace and love. Does World War II not happen now?
that's okay. So here's the thing. Here's the reason why I think they picked World War One.
Okay. They
Because
want a
it's
sequel?
well, no. It's easier to have that ending in World War One than it is in World War Two.
I would think it's way easier to have that in World War II, actually. You kidding me? We fucking kill Adolf Hitler. He was Ares. Everybody's hugging now.
That is a very different movie. That is a very
That is a
different
different.
movie.
That is a different movie. But if that was the sequel, and World War One was this, was what should have happened, with there not being the big bad, well then that would have been awesome.
So here's the thing. If you have in the ending of the movie the Germans getting around and hugging it out and being like, "We're free from the mind control," World War One Germany is easier for people to be like, "Oh, they're just good people underneath it all," rather than Nazis who gassed Jews and had this whole white power, like not Ubermensch, like whatever they're like, whatever they called their like idealized people. It's
I
easy. It's easier to
guess.
say World War One Germans can be cured of mind control rather than these World War Two ones, where when they
So
leave at
what?
the end of the day, they've done some really awful things.
I guess.
I think that's genuinely why they made it World War
I
One
mean, I still
because
think they're gonna do a soup. They're gonna do a sequel, and Ares is gonna be. You know what? I'm gonna do a more hands-on approach this time. I'm gonna be a Hitler.
so
I mean,
here's a question for you.
yeah.
Do you think they actually killed Ares in this movie? Because all
I
signs pointed
don't.
to he died. He
Yeah, I
killed.
mean, they do. I mean, they do point that he died, but I don't think that's going to be good enough for Marvel. I mean, Superman's dead, right?
You mean DC, right?
Oh, yeah, DC.
Yeah.
I mean, Superman's dead, right? He's totally dead.
In the biggest air quotes you humanly could write, in
Yep.
108 point font, air quotes, dead.
Yep. Yeah.
Well, I mean that also gets onto my problem of like them having her fight and kill or quote unquote kill Ares in this movie. Basically, they made her origin story movie. She kills a god.
Yeah.
Where do you go from there?
You
Who's
kill him
tougher than
again.
that?
You kill him again, Drew.
A god who's been around for thousands, if not millions of years.
Yeah.
And this woman who was just learning to fight maybe a few months before. And
Oh
just
no, she's been
well,
no, she's been
no,
learning to fight her entire
sorry,
life.
sorry, I
But like,
misspoke. Just learned about her powers a few months ago.
yeah, that's fair.
Just killed the god of war.
Yeah, that does seem pretty ridiculous, doesn't it? When you say it like that, it just doesn't seem right.
See, in my idealized movie, you don't have to change a whole lot about this. The only thing you have to change in the ending is you have it so that Wonder Woman and Chris Pine's character eventually make up about like the differences they have about like, oh, she's like, oh, the god of war, I killed him, and he's
Drew,
like,
she
no, these
needs
are
a
actually
reason to be
people.
single until modern times, so that she can marry Batman.
Uh, I guess that's how it'll be. I guess, but I mean,
I don't
honestly,
know.
this movie only needs that basically they they meet back up on the battlefield. She has a triumphant return, and they take down the plane that is going to destroy the town. Never
Mm-hmm.
mention Ares until the very end, when like maybe in the background or maybe in a separate shot you see this mysterious character kind of lurking off to the side, and he gets away, and Diana has her moment of like, you know what? No, I actually can save people, and I don't have to kill a god to do it.
Mm-hmm.
I can be a hero all on my own.
You know what would have been a better story?
Hmm? Captain
A better
America: The
story
First
would.
Avenger.
Besides that, yes,
Mhm.
yes, a way better story. If Ares literally didn't even give a shit anymore, he was just like, "Wow, they did this all on their own. Shit, I'm just gonna go get some coffee." He literally just kind of she ends up looking for Ares all this time, right? And he's just kind of in a coffee shop, be like, "Oh, hi, yeah, I'm not about that anymore," just kind
I've
of.
still got the powers, but I've chilled a lot. Like
I
life is all
mean, look
right.
at this. They're literally killing each other. Let them do it on their own. They're going to do it on their own. I'm going to be right about this.
I don't need to get involved. Like these people wipe themselves out. I I could see that, but at the same time, I think genuinely Wonder Woman needs a big bad to follow through in a series,
I don't
and
think
not
she did, though.
well. Not killing Ares makes it so in future movies you can be like, well, what's up with Ares? What's he doing? Is he in the movies? You can build a
I mean,
mystery around it rather than. Here's my problem. And I guess you could maybe expand this to most superhero movies that are being made right now, but I feel like some movies do it better than others.
hmm
Wonder Woman now has no goals in her life. After this World War One scene, she eventually says, "Oh, I'm just going to help people." But
what
she's
I think
done
that
the only
she,
thing she ever wanted to do in life, which was kill
yeah,
Ares. Now what?
I guess she helps a Scotsman get his singing career going. I don't know.
She becomes his producer. No, but I mean,
Let
she did the one thing she was always destined to do.
I guess that's how she becomes a lawyer. I don't.
That's how I think she's like a museum curator in the beginning of the movie or something.
I thought she was a lawyer.
Maybe, I don't know. And I don't really follow the DC movies well enough to know what her job was
I
supposed to
mean,
be outside of it.
I didn't really either. I just that's what I thought she was. Still fighting for people kind of deal.
Yeah.
So I
Oh,
thought that meant
oh,
I thought that meant I
she's a
thought she was
lawyer.
doing that in the court of law instead
Oh,
of that's what I assumed what she was doing.
so
I
when
mean, if she's a museum curator, then she is not fighting for people.
so when she jumps off that building at the end of the movie to like say like I'm here to help people, she's actually like jumping off to go to the courthouse down the street.
No, no, I just mean like well, I mean, I guess she could be a curator and she just beats people up at night just like Batman, but I don't know.
Yeah, I just the
Like
ending.
I enjoyed the movie, but it left a bad taste in my mouth.
Yeah, I think honestly they made just a few poor decisions in the movie that turned it into a good movie instead of a great movie.
Yeah.
Like if DC could have done the one thing to one up Marvel, I genuinely think leaving a villain for these characters to find later on or to have people asking about, that might
Mhm.
work out nicely, because as of right now I don't see Wonder Woman having goals after that. Well, I mean she'll have goals, but I mean like once she's done that, that is the only thing
It's
she's ever done in
vague
life.
goals of love and and goodness.
And justice, yes. That's the thing. It feels like with a few short changes, few small changes, the ending could have been overwhelmingly saved.
Mhm.
And she still could have had her heroic moment. She still could have saved
Mhm.
a lot of people. And she
Yeah.
still could have shown off her power. but there wasn't a need for her to kill a god at the end of this movie.
Yeah, especially when it wasn't even built up.
Yeah, it like we said, like the whole movie goes about you don't really know if Ares is even a thing.
I mean, like they made it out that like some people were maybe following them, like a little bit, but that was just kind of believed that just be spies and stuff like that.
Yeah, that's what
Like
I
there's
took. I took it
literally,
as German spies, a thing that probably
yeah.
would have happened back then.
See, like if they maybe like built it up throughout the movie a bit more,
Hmm.
that hey, maybe this influence thing actually exists. I mean, like you know, the only thing, the only thing I was kind of guessing was that, that the lady was getting whispered to. That kind of made sense to me. But I don't think there was a real reason that the Ares actually had to show up himself, though. He could have just stayed in the background.
Yeah, that's genuinely what I'm thinking. Is like this really should have been a case of like this character shouldn't have been introduced yet.
Mm-hmm.
We keep
And
him
if
to the background. He becomes like a Thanos in the Marvel
mm-hmm.
universe or something
That
like
would have
that.
been such a better direction for this to take. Especially since like if he had those powers, right, at the end that he did,
Hmm.
why didn't he just start murdering people?
Yeah.
Like I thought the whole thing was that he didn't have his powers. That's why he was in the background. I thought that was the whole point of him being in the background was he didn't have all his powers back. And then suddenly he had his powers when he had to fight her.
Well, I mean, that felt like to me just simply like the character wanted to pull the strings of people rather than just be the murderer himself. He just wanted to be like, oh, I'm pulling the strings beyond the background, which is a much more efficient way of causing wars rather than doing it with my own hands.
I guess.
I don't know. I don't know. It
It didn't really make like for that he would have to know that she existed. And she didn't and he didn't really know she existed, right?
well, I mean, obviously after she left the island, yes, but once
Yeah,
beforehand,
but
no.
he was doing that clearly way beforehand. Like he clearly had those powers. It didn't just happen, right?
Wait, Ares?
Like, yeah, Ares.
I mean,
Like he
he's
didn't.
a god of war. He should have powers.
Yeah, but I mean, like the powers that he was showing towards the end, he could have started using to really fuck things up, but he didn't.
But that's what I'm saying. Like, I don't think he wanted to just be on a battlefield covered in armor breaking tanks. I think he wanted to be behind the scenes to cause more damage. Like his
I
whole
get what
role
you're
was he
saying.
was basically in a government position, kind of maybe fanning the flames or like trying to see what he could do without directly getting involved. Which I think is a
Yeah, but
decent idea for him. Like, the God of War doesn't need to be murdering people 24/7 with his own bare hands.
mm-hmm.
But I see what you're
But it
saying,
seems,
where, like, he,
but it.
he could have taken a more direct route with some stuff.
I mean, but if he was still gonna do that stuff, he could have just stayed in the background. Also, it seems like as soon as he put his armor on, he became weaker.
I'll agree with you in a way, where once he put his armor on, that was his downward slope. He was
Yeah.
still pretty powerful at that point. But as soon as Diana realizes the power of friendship or love or rainbows or whatever the deal was with that she found,
Mm-hmm.
that's when he was like, "Oh man, my powers, they're gone." Okay.
Yeah.
It,
I mean, he was instantly just teleporting behind her at one point, and then he stopped doing that.
yeah, it.
Like if you just kind of roll with the movie as it goes, you're going to have an okay time, right? But like as soon as you really start thinking about everything in the movie, it starts to hurt your brain.
Yeah, and that's the thing. Like, that's genuinely why I think a better direction for this movie is for them not to touch on Ares too much. Like, obviously have
Yeah.
him in it because we need to have a villain, and that can kind of still be like a thing Diana wants. like to
Mm-hmm.
find Ares. What happened to him, or is he still around? But at the same time, don't bring up all these questions about like, so wait, Diana's more powerful than him, even though she's like pretty new at this. I get she's like um the Ares killer. She's like the
Mm-hmm.
weapon to defeat him. But that doesn't innately make her stronger.
Yeah, it
Especially since he
doesn't.
was like beating her around like really easily minutes before.
Mm-hmm. It didn't totally make sense.
But
Yeah.
I don't know. I For all of our complaining, this is all with just really actually one aspect of the movie. It's not with the entirety of the movie itself. I still enjoyed a fair bit of it. It just feels like the ending was a slip up compared to what the rest of the movie was doing pretty well.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, I enjoyed it overall.
Yeah, I mean, there's other small nitpicks I have. Like I think the scene in No Man's Land is a little silly, but that's just me.
Oh yeah, that whole I mean like a few things in that are ridiculous, right? How quickly they get from No Man's Land to that town, which is just I think they went from straight from the trenches to the town and none of the soldiers followed. Um
Oh no no no!
when
And
they
remember, in the German trenches, there was only like what, five guys? Five guys in those trenches.
Yeah, there were a few of them. Right, there were a bunch more dudes, and the entire company went over the top with them, followed them out there, right?
Mm-hmm.
And then they get to the town, and they kill everybody. She picks up a car and just like a little tank there and just throws it, and none of the Germans were like, "Fuck this."
I'm giving up. I'm not gonna fight this. I know better.
I don't
That
know
that would
about you, but like
that would straight up be
it.
me in that instance. It would just be like, guys, I don't think we're winning this one.
The
Maybe.
sec, yeah, I mean the second they somebody picks up a tank and throws it, you're not winning the battle.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's when I realized, oh, they're not going to humanize these guys at all, are they? Right, that's when I realized, okay, so they're going to break into any of these buildings. There's going to be a bunch of wounded German soldiers, right? And they're going to be like, oh, they're human too. Nope, she's just going to kill them all. And they murder them all. I was surprised. I was expecting that scene at any moment through that entire thing, right? Oh, and then after they take this town, everybody puts on the street lights at night, right?
We're
Everybody puts on the
celebrating.
lights, celebrating, even though that would draw mortar shells from every artillery piece. And
Especially the castle that was what, like 10, 15, 20 miles away.
yeah, that could not have been far. Like these things were very close to each other.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, they were within like they had to have been within like seeing distance from the trench to that town.
Yeah, pretty much. Like a short
Like
jog
if
could have made it to the castle.
yeah, that's what it seems like. And if they lit up any of those lights, like the Allied troops would have been firing artillery at that town. Like that. See, I know World War One. I know military history, and it severely bothered me. I was like, wait, are they going to put on the lights on and everybody's just going to get shelled? Are they actually going to do this? I was thinking that in the theater.
You were
Like,
like,
what are they
oh no,
doing?
this is going to end
Why are
really
the lights
badly.
on? Is everybody going to die now? Like those were my exact thoughts. And wait, where are all the troops that followed them over? Like, didn't they just bring in a bunch of troops? What happened to that?
Yeah, they're there.
Because, like, to my knowledge, the trench was right there.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it wasn't far at all.
It was relatively
I was
close
just,
to it.
I was just very confused by the whole scene. I mean, it was cool, but confusing.
Yeah, it's. Here's the funny thing: this movie is very easy to nitpick.
Oh, horrendously so.
A little bit, especially if you're like Ant, where military history is kind of your thing. You play a lot of
This
Paradox games, but
I do.
but in the end, I still think it's a decent movie for all the complaining I just did.
Oh yeah, yeah. I mean, like, even how much I'm bashing it, I still think it's worth a watch.
Hmm.
But dear God, does it hurt my brain?
Yeah, just a little bit.
Captain America did it better.
I I won't even argue that. I won't even play devil's advocate because I agree entirely. I I mean I've said before, Captain America, the first and second movie are some of my favorite superhero movies. I will give it
Yeah.
this. I will give it this. The scenes that they play in the old timey London, they're pretty good. They're all right. They feel like what Captain America did. They feel similar to that, where it's like, oh yeah, we're just kind of like old timey, like people don't quite understand all the intricacies of it and all that, but it's it's good. It's good. I don't know what else to say about it other than it's good. Short of just complaining more, but
Yeah. I mean, I think we pretty much we ran our time on that. To be honest, I think we summed up everything we wanted to say.
would you say that we filled it in?
Hey, we filled it in with a blank space.
I
I'm
apologize for
sorry.
that noise. That was an awful noise. I thought that would
Hey,
come out
I
better.
added to your nightmares last week. You added to mine this week.
Yeah.
That was a blank space, folks. We filled it in. Whee!